Hi there, I'm Haley with Jason Learning, and we are here with Dr. Lauren Esposito from the California Academy of Sciences, and she studies arachnids, specifically tarantulas, yes?
Scorpions, actually.
Scorpions? Oh my gosh. Okay, will you tell us a little bit about scorpions?
Sure, so scorpions are arachnids, which means they have 8 legs and 2 main body segments. They're probably one of the most important predators in the invertebrate food chain, so animals without a backbone. They give birth to live young, which I think is a fact most people have never heard.
What?
They're like I think they're probably the only arachnid that gives birth to live young, and maybe the only arthropod even.
Scorpions have little scorpion babies?
Yeah, little tiny scorpion babies. They give birth. When the babies come out, the mom actually takes care of the babies, so they climb up on her back and like hang out up there.
That's
pretty
really
adorable.
Sweet.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good moms, I would say.
Oh, well, why do you study scorpions?
Well, I think what interests me about scorpions is that they're the oldest terrestrial predators. So they were the first arthropods to come up on land out of the ocean. That was 450 million years ago. And at the time they were huge. They were like the size of grizzly bears. They were like 1.5 meters long, and they were like coming up in rivers and stuff and eating salmon out of the rivers. Or maybe not salmon, but salmon ancestors. And they've succeeded. They've basically remained unchanged in their basic body form for the last 450 million years old. They've been so successful.
But they've just gotten a little bit smaller.
A little smaller.
My mind just got blown. I had no idea. Scorpions used to be the size of bears, and they came out of the ocean, and they're now what they are today.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's completely awesome. And awesome that we know that. So why come here to the Malaysian rainforest to study them?
Well, I actually study scorpions all over the tropics and many other kinds of arachnids. And one of the things that I'm really committed to is figuring out the 50% of arthropod biodiversity that we haven't discovered yet. So there's so many species all over the world, in North America, in Europe, in the tropics especially, that we just haven't discovered. And so scientists don't know about them. And so I go out into the world, out into those unexplored places, and try to discover that biodiversity so we can describe it and start to understand what it's doing.
So what do you expect to find here?
I'm pretty confident that we're going to find a new species of scorpion.
That's completely awesome.
And, as a general ballpark figure, I've done surveys like this all over the world where we just go out and look for everything living. And in general, in the tropics, I find about 30% of the things that we pick up while we're outside on the ground are new to science. So I anticipate, in addition to a scorpion species, we're going to find a whole bunch of spiders that are new to science.
That's a really good reason to come to the tropics,
I'd say.
Yep. So you have lots of equipment on you.
I do.
So how do you actually physically go out and collect and do your science?
So I use a lot of different tools, the most important of which are my eyes. Just going out and looking for things that are crawling around on a leaf, or turning over a stone and looking at what's underneath the stone, or a log, or basically any nook and cranny that a spider or a scorpion could hide in. But I also have other tools, like a white sort of kite-looking thing that looks almost like an upside-down umbrella. And we use that and we walk around with, and put it underneath vegetation, like bushes and trees, and tap on the vegetation with a stick, and things fall down that are hiding in the vegetation that we might not be able to see on our own.
You've got one of these.
I've got one of these. This is a great tool. It's informally called a pooter, because you poot air up it. And it's this little clear tube, which is great because you can see things through the tube, and then this flexible hose so that you can maneuver it around however you need to. But in between the hose and the tube is a tiny little screen, which you probably can't see, of very fine mesh, so that when you suck something up into the tube, so that you don't have to pick it up and squish it with your fingers, you collected the animal safely without doing it any harm, you don't damage the specimen in any way, and most importantly, the screen keeps it from getting in your mouth.
And then what do you do with it? So you have a little specimen in there, and do you put it in a vial? Do you let it go?
Yep. The next step is I have vials like this one here in my pocket. And so I'd pick something up with the pooter, like this, and then I blow it out into the vials where I can see it even better and preserve it. Either in a vial that's empty, or this one has alcohol in it, which is a preservative fluid.
So when you have it in the alcohol, you have all these little vials, and you take them back to Cal Academy, and what do you do with them there?
Well, actually what I do first I come here, And upstairs in our base camp, we have a microscope set up, and we actually sort everything that we collect during the day while we're here in the field, because what that gives us a good idea of is whether we're doing a good job, whether we're getting the same things over and over again and not very many species, or whether we're getting lots of different species and every time we go out we get new ones. So that gives us a good sense of what places we need to focus on more, where we need to concentrate our efforts, whether that's beating vegetation or looking in leaves, and whether we are getting a good representation of what lives here based on what we expect, which we figured out doing our background homework.
We're definitely going to have to go up and see what you're finding when you're up there looking through the scopes.
Yeah, and then after all that, once we field sorted, we pack everything up to be returned back to the Cal Academy, where more scientists will come and visit and study the material that we've collected for hundreds of years, we hope.
Lauren, thank you so much for sharing everything that you do with us. We cannot wait to see what you find as
Wait
you
for
go.
the scorpions.
Yes, that's going to be amazing. And if you have questions for Lauren or any of the scientists who are here, please, you can write your questions on Facebook, on Twitter, and we will get back to you as soon as we can within the next week. We'll see you then. Bye.